Hey everyone, my name's Kristen and I am a homeschooling mama to 4 kiddos, ages 10, 6, 8, and 3. And this is our second year of homeschooling. And I thought I would just take the time in this video to tell you more about this channel, the idea behind it, and about our family in general. So come along. So the title of my channel is My Cathedral Garden, and I wanted to explain just a little bit about where that came from. At the beginning of my first year of homeschooling, I read Teaching from Rest by Sarah Mackenzie and really liked it. So much so that I reread it again before we went into our second year of full-time homeschooling. And that read-through stopped me in my tracks. It was such a good way to go forward into the year, but there was one phrase in particular that really stuck out to me, and it was the sentence in there where she said, build a cathedral and cultivate a garden. And she talked about what that meant and how the daunting yet beautiful task of our child's education, and if we have multiple children's education, their mind, the way they learn, that is the cathedral. And she talked about in that little paragraph how the workers that were cathedral workers devoted themselves to a life of working on this thing that was going to take 100 years to build. And so a lot of them would not see the final product in their lifetime, but they still worked diligently. And that was the building of the cathedral. They gave their work and what they were doing one stone at a time into building something grand. And she talked about how your kids' education is like that. You do what you can, you lay the ground and the stone and everything, you build on top of it in faith that it will create something beautiful, and that will all come together and it will all work. And I loved that idea. So then the next part of that was to cultivate a garden. And so she went into how you build a cathedral and what that actually looks like day to day in a homeschooling family where there's so many things that need to be done. She talked about how you do that by cultivating a garden the way you would a raised bed just right outside your window. And she gave the analogy of God being the master gardener and handing you seeds and saying, plant them and cultivate them. And how you can't just throw seeds out into a garden and hope that something happens. Something will grow, but it won't be what it would if you took the time to make sure that you watered and you got the right soil and you weeded. And it's a daily mundane of cultivating a garden to get the best product. And that is a little bit how the day-to-day of building your cathedral, building your child's education, it's in the mundane task. It's sitting down with that math lesson. It is looking at them and smiling as you pull that toddler in and read a book. It's reading aloud. It's poems, it's hymn study, it's that plus reading, writing, and arithmetic. You cultivate that garden and make your home an atmosphere of learning. And I could not get that imagery out of my head. In fact, I made it my motto, my personal motto for our school year would be to build a cathedral and to cultivate a garden. And I feel like I fell at this so many times, and that's why it's so good to do a reread of that book and to remind yourself this is why we're doing what we're doing. It is not to defy the naysayers, or it is not in the trap I fall into. It is not in my defense. So often I make sure that my kids are doing what they need to do, so that when these imaginary naysayers come, I've actually never had someone come up and be like, your kid doesn't know that. But these imaginary naysayers that I have in my head, I feel like I need to make my kids ready so they can say, see, we are doing it. We are learning. It's working. This works. And that's not the point. The point is to give them a life of education and a love of learning for their good, not mine. Not my defense, for their good and not my defense. So, our channel, my channel was formerly called Legacy Homemaking, and that is great because that is what I want to do. I want to leave a legacy in my home and for my kids that goes on after me. But I felt like that title just wasn't really encompassing what this channel would be about. And so I changed it to my cathedral garden, because that's what I am doing, is trying to build a legacy of this cathedral garden in my own home. So that is kind of where and how I landed on that. So let's just talk about a little bit what you can expect to see from this channel. Obviously homeschooling content, because that is what the Lord has called us to right now. So it might just be day in the lives. It might be how we do morning menus, or how we do math, or what worked, what hasn't worked, curriculum videos, things like that. So of course those things, but there's also bound to be some lifestyle sprinkled in there. The life of a stay-at-home mom, and menu planning, and maybe some cleaning and some organizing, which by the way I'm not good at. That's not my gifting. So that would be a stretch, but that's also some things. And hopefully this is just a space where you see a quote-unquote normal mom. I'm not an influencer. I'm not a Pinterest mom. I'm really not very good at anything crafty or artsy or pretty, if I have to be honest. And so I hope that you just find a place to land, and that you see a realness here, and that you know that this is just a place that from one mom to another, that it's okay to not be okay, and things like that. So thank you so much for just taking the time to watch this, and for being here. I really appreciate it, and I'm so thankful for this community. I really am. So anyway, thanks so much guys. I hope to see you later.